All the kids were in front of me, and I was told a few days before, 60 kids.
Ooh,
I thought, you're kidding me, 60 kids. Well, I can't really do a workshop with them, I'm going to have to do a show. And then I got the two birthday boys up on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's two long ropes. I want you to make sure that, they can't come apart, they don't break or anything. Yeah. Maybe try with someone, sitting down. I turn away for 2 seconds. I saw the rope around a girl's neck and the two boys just pulling. I was like, oh! What got me was there was an adult right in front, right behind the little girl getting strangled, just watching.
All right, more about this disastrous birthday party later on. But now, let's talk about some of the good stuff. Here's Matt Owen.
Usually when people give out their business cards, I have my hands empty. They look down and think, what are you doing? And then they look down again, there's a business card there.
Oh!
So that's a nice little
magic trick
I like to do. Yeah, I remember going to this lecture, and it was a Michael Lamar lecture. He was a very big name in magic, and yeah, he says one of the best tricks you can do is with a business card.
Yeah.
Because it's not... You don't want to give out your business card to people. You don't want to offer it. You want them to ask you.
Yeah.
So if you keep doing magic tricks at an event with your business cards, and if you have like 2 or 3 different tricks, people will go up to each other and say, "Wow, have you seen a magician? Ask for his business card."
Yeah.
So what do you mean ask for his business card? Oh, just ask for it. Trust me.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
So it's a nice little way to get people to instigate. Oh, can I see a trick?
Yeah.
Instead of you interrupting them or offering your business card when it's not wanted.
Yes. Alrighty, welcome. Hello, this is Big Ben. This is Meet the Entertainers. And this week I'm talking to Closeup magician extraordinaire, Matt Owen. Lots and lots of great tips. That's a good one there with the business cards, eh? To keep my costs down, only the most recent podcasts are available on iTunes and Podomatic. So for all the older episodes, please visit my website, www.thebigbenshow. Alright, let's go and talk about close-up magic with Mr. Matt Owen.
Are you still recording now then?
Oh, it's on all the time.
Oh, right, okay. Catching people unaware. But no, that's good though, because you can catch some really nice unexpected moments.
Well, no, also stuff like the business card, that is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't want to just be trying to force it onto people. If you try to force it, it's like when you go out flyers, people automatic reaction is, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But if it appears as a magic trick, well, and then people say, go ask for his business card, it's a magic trick. It's fantastic.
And then I have another thing. I have another thing which I developed on my own, actually. So these things that I use they're not original to me, but I haven't seen anybody else use these sleights, these moves, in this way. I've never seen anybody do that.
Yeah.
And when I do it to other magicians, they say, "Oh, that was neat. I like that."
Oh, cool.
And they've not thought of that before. And there's another one. Once I've given that business card to someone, there'll be others. Usually in the group, there'll be others hanging by saying, "Oh, well, can I have one? Do it again."
Yeah.
And then I'll grab that one business card I gave to that person and say, no, don't be greedy, you need to share. And then I will spread it out.
Oh.
So I'll turn one into like maybe 10 or 20.
Yeah.
Just by spreading it out, and people go, "What?"
Yeah.
And that's a nice little addition that I do as well.
As I move the microphone close to you, because I'm extremely loud. Some of the interviews like this. That's not good.
My girlfriend tells me I've got a very loud voice.
No, it does sound good. I think you'll be very clear on this.
Okay, good. I've actually developed a louder voice since moving to Hong Kong. Obviously, working in the nightclub where we first met, I then went on to be a nightclub promoter in Lang Kwai Fong. And yeah, trying to speak to people
over the music.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. And you shout and shout and shout, and still they say, what? But then after a while, you develop quite a loud voice.
Yeah.
Naturally. So yeah, I used to work like 4 nights a week every week for like about 6 months or something like that. Not a job I would highly recommend, but I it's not really a job that you can keep doing for a long time.
Yeah.
For health issues, I'd say.
Yeah.
Working in a nightclub.
All right. Right. So we're talking to Matthew J. Owen. What's the J for?
James,
There you
Jolly,
go.
whatever you want to.
Do I call you Matt though?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. And your website matthewjowen.com.
I do, yes.
It's good. It's lovely.
Thank you. I'm not sure about the name. I think the J throws off people, so I don't see it. It's kind of like snuck in there. But yeah, unfortunately, somebody else already took MatthewOwen.com.
Put in Matthew J. Owen then. No,
Yeah.
I saw it straight away, and I wanted to know what it was.
Yeah, great.
James.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're talking about how you can give out name cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talking to business is great because they have all these fancy ways of giving out name cards. I mean, there's a classic one that I heard from one guy. There's something with a cigarette lighter that burst into flames, and there's a name card in there.
Yep.
Or he drops a cigarette lighter, or he drops something on like a wallet. He drops a wallet on purpose. That is it. Come back to me. He drops a wallet on purpose. It's his own wallet, and he picks it up and obviously to the group. Somebody dropped their wallet. They go, no. He opens it up. It bursts into flames.
Yeah.
And there's his name card.
Oops, sorry. I should
No,
have
go for it.
off.
Can't miss business.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's my one of my business partners that I work with.
There you go.
Yeah.
Business partners.
In a way, yeah. So he's another magician.
Yeah.
And yeah, we work together on various gigs. So maybe we need a +1 entertainer.
Yeah.
For a big crowd, and yeah, we kind of tend to bounce a lot of work
Give
off
him
each other.
Shout out.
Yeah, his name's Zenith Cock.
There we go. We'll put him in the notes.
Local magician. I first heard of him back in England, actually. I went to Blackpool Magic Convention.
Yeah.
And as I was going around the dealer stands, I saw an interesting... I can't talk too much about the products because it will give away certain secrets.
Yeah.
But I saw some props, some gimmicks on this table, and I thought, oh, these look interesting.
Yeah.
Zenith Cock from Hong Kong. Oh, okay. Hong Kong. That's right up my alley, because I was originally born here.
Okay, yeah, so you're born in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then, very briefly, so you're born in Hong Kong, but your parents are English?
Yeah, they're both British, yeah.
Okay, British.
So my father is a master mariner, and
Okay.
he got work out here with the jet foils, the Hong Kong to Macau ferry.
Okay.
So he had work over here for 13 years. My mother used to be a banker. And then, yeah, I think she went into real estate when she arrived here. I can't remember exactly. But, yeah, my father's always been into shipping and went ship's captain and whatnot.
Your life, so you grew up in Hong Kong, going to an expat school?
Yeah, I went to an ESF school,
ESF
as we call
school.
it, English Schools Foundation.
Yeah.
And
then, brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got one older sister.
Yeah.
She was born here as well.
Yeah.
And at the age of 7, when I was 7, we moved back to England.
Ah.
So that was back in 93. So, yeah, any of those mathematicians or people good with numbers can work out my age now.
There you go. And you have you worked in the military? Have you done service, customs service?
Yeah, I was stupid enough to volunteer for the army.
Okay.
No, despite how you may think about that. But yeah, I was kind of at loose ends and didn't know what to do with myself at the age of 17.
Is that your first job?
No, I had a paper round. I worked in a warehouse. And
okay, so you
then I joined the army, so that was like my third job.
Yeah, customer service. You've worked hospitality.
Yeah, I've worked many different jobs.
What brought you back to Hong Kong then?
I just really didn't like England that much. I was bored of it, and yeah, I always had a drawback here. I never got on with England. I never wanted to move there in the first place from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to bad weather, grey skies, and...
We've got English weather today.
Yeah, we have actually. We've had it for a few weeks now.
It looks like England. It's grey and it's raining.
April showers, although it's June now. Goes to show how long it's been going on for.
Right, shameless self-promotion.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell yourself. What is it that you do? When someone says, what's your job? What do you do?
Okay, so I'm a close-up magician. What that means is I walk around small groups of people and perform magic for them right under their nose. It's very close-up and personal, whether it be mix and mingle at a function, so people standing in groups, or table hopping.
Yeah.
And what I do, what defines close-up magic would be things with cards, coins. I try to branch out into everyday objects, so anything that may be in my pocket or on the table. I try to do things. I try to do effects with those objects.
Yeah.
And
you're based in Hong Kong, and it's MatthewJOwen.com.
That's right, yeah.
So we can get you some work.
Yeah, hopefully.
And when did you turn full-time?
When I left England, actually.
Yeah.
So I was working as a bartender. I didn't know what else to do with myself. I tried so many different jobs, and I went back to an old job I had. And this, for me, was a good turning point, because I got very bored at work. And I worked a lot of the graveyard shifts.
Yeah.
So when there was no customers in, usually Saturday afternoon. And it was a country pub, so it was right out in the woods. Not much else around for quite a bit. So it's quite hidden away. And yeah, of course, I'm on my own and I'm bored in the pub. And I always had an interest in magic, so I kind of rekindled that and started buying a lot of books teaching sleight of hand.
Yeah.
So I'd then take the cards and the books to work and practice in, the downtime. And before long, someone would spot I have a pack of cards in my hands or behind the bar, and they said, "Oh, you were practicing some tricks." And at this point, I was really shy, and I didn't want to show anyone anything. It was just, quiet practice when nobody was looking. I was, I never wanted to. It's kind of interesting. I always had an interest and love for it, but I wasn't so keen on showing people magic or sharing it with them.
I think that's quite common amongst
you kind of think maybe it's a bit silly or childish, or you're not going to fool anyone. But when you do eventually show someone something, you've practiced long enough to get it to a good standard, and you show it to them, and I don't want to say fools them. Fools is a bit of a bad word to use, but
when it works, and
the effect works. Yeah. And you get good feedback from that, and it gives you a very good feel-good factor. You think, oh wow, I've accomplished that, and I like the feeling that I just gave this person. And I did that for 5 years in a bar in England, and then I quit my job, left England, started my backpacking adventures in Beijing, got down to Hong Kong, and then my backpacking stopped. I essentially arrived here with a backpack, and so I didn't have a job. I was backpacking, and people would ask me, "So what do you do?"
Yeah.
Well, I thought, the only answer I can really give and justify it is a magician.
Oh.
I said, "Oh, great. Okay, can you show us something?"
Yeah.
And this has spun such a massive roller coaster ride of a story for me in Hong Kong in the last 5 years. 6 years. Yeah, gosh, I've been back here 6 years now.
Yeah.
Wow, time flies by, huh?
All right.
So I did actually have a few paid birthday gigs back in England. The first gig I ever did was the 50th. And I was kind of bullied into that.
Okay.
I really, really, really didn't want to do it at first. Yeah. But then the woman offered me £50.
Yeah.
And at that time I thought, wow, that 50 quid just for 2 hours work, that's pretty good.
Google the currency rates. £50 is a lot more than 50 Hong Kong dollars.
Yeah. And especially when you're in your early 20s, you think, wow, that's like a couple of hours work in, maybe a whole day's work for some people, especially if you're a bartender, in an hour or two.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, well, I can't say no to that. So to psych myself up, it was an evening affair. I had a Red Bull before going to the show. And that's something I will never do again. So we were in this big marquee for a 50th, and it was full of everybody I know from the pub.
Yeah.
And I was bouncing off the tent walls like crazy. I was speaking fast, and I was going fast as well. It was my first proper gig, and I was so nervous, and I had this Red Bull, and I was, oh my goodness. I go quite crazy off Red Bull. Yeah. So, lesson learned, don't do that again.
Alright.
Especially here in Hong Kong, where English is a second language. I don't want to speak too fast so people can't understand me.
Yeah, well, exactly. If you're doing a card trick to a Hong Kong audience, Have you learnt the Cantonese for hearts and
Oh, yeah, I've learnt that.
Sin and whatever.
That's one of the first things I learned when I got here.
Because otherwise I've tried doing card tricks and I have to know that, I have to remember what the Cantonese is for hearts and diamonds and spades.
I always get spades and diamonds mixed up in Cantonese.
Well, one's Kwai Sin and one's something else.
Gai Jun, Mui Fa, and Hong Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can't do the magic.
Well, you can, but it doesn't have as much effect.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing a prediction, then you need to say something to them for them to understand what's going on.
Yes.
But a lot of the time, you can get away without saying too much.
All right, but we're jumping ahead. So you're in England. You got your first gig,
back and forth all over the place.
Your first gig as a 50-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah.
In the audience, in the crowd, I guess there's all the people you know from the bar where you were working.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a gig and a few more birthday parties?
I got...
for adults?
Yeah, absolutely. I would refuse. I'm still a bit complacent about doing kids shows, but we'll get onto that later.
Okay.
So, then after that, I had one of the workers, one of the waitresses at the pub, having her 30th. And she asked me, Matt, I heard you did the 50th and you were so good. Can you do the 30th? Oh, Christ, okay. Why not? And it was a circus theme. So there was loads of people dressed up as clowns, and they had the buzzers in the hands when they met me. Again, it was friends and people I knew. So it was quite a relaxed and comfortable environment. Not too much pressure to do everyone, do all the tables, impress everyone. Just turn up, do your thing for an hour, and then enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And I learnt so much from those 2 gigs.
Yeah? What did you learn? Tell someone.
I learned what worked, what didn't. Maybe have a word with the DJ beforehand to turn it down a few notches so you're not wrecking your vocal cords and so people can actually hear you. But it's a never-ending battle with the DJ. It never works. Oh, can you turn it down a bit?
Yeah.
They say but it sounds exactly the same level.
Did you have any problems with carrying all your equipment? Did you have enough pockets?
I think I've actually written up my notes so I can go back and look at that first gig and see what worked, what didn't. Did I have too many tricks on me?
Yeah.
Did I not have enough? What was good in this environment? What was bad in this environment? So it's not just a case of what works and what doesn't, because I knew that from the pub.
Yeah.
Trying out new material all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing doing it in a pub or amongst people or friends in a comfortable environment, but when you're actually doing it for a show, you realise very quickly, it worked in that environment, but not in this environment.
Yeah.
So you learn very quickly. And I made quite a lot of mistakes. I messed some tricks up. But again, it was interesting for me because I was playing around with people's attention the whole night. So this was a chance for me to go around so many different people, so many different tables, and see where they were looking, see how if I did one thing different or I looked at a different place at a different time, how it affect the trick, or if I said something a little bit differently, or moved my hands a little bit differently in a subtle different way, or said, there's so many little things that come into the equation.
This is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because I've been doing this for 25 years and I've forgotten what it was like to start. In those first few years, you learn so much.
You do. You're like a sponge.
Nowadays, I do things that I learned 25 years ago, but I've forgotten the reason why I do it now.
Okay.
There was a reason once upon a time. I thought, that doesn't work. I've got to do it this way. And I've forgotten the reasons now. But that's why I do these podcasts. I'm just to refresh myself.
It's great. When you approached me on this, I realised, wait, you've got a podcast. So I've been going through these podcasts, and because I naturally listen to a lot of podcasts about magicians and sometimes other performers. And it's great to listen to on the commute, and you do pick up some very good nuggets of information or even some ideas.
Yeah, get inspired.
Yeah.
You think, I can see how that would work. So you're doing you're going around doing close-up magic.
Mm-hmm.
How do you approach a group of people? Because often, well, maybe not for you, but one of the problems is if a magician approaches a group of people, they're like, I don't want to see magic, maybe. So do you have a way of approaching a group?
Yeah, one thing
What did you learn straight away?
Well, straight away you realise once you say the word magician, people go a bit weird.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not quite sure how to take it. In England, we don't have a tipping culture, so people aren't afraid that they have to pay you.
Yes.
But a lot of people in England see it as a child's or a children's activity or children's entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's funny because adults forget that not all magic is for children. You know, you have these TV shows on, these magic shows on TV late at night that only adults watch.
Yeah.
And some of them, like Chris Angel, are quite bizarre and gruesome that you wouldn't want a child to see.
Yeah.
And there's other side of magic, which is children's magic, which is completely different. And it's more about being, more about being silly, telling stories, but it's fast effects. As I found in a recent gig that went completely wrong, but we'll get onto that later on.
No, you can go now if you want. Tell me the wrong
No, I'm going off on too many different tangents. I'm losing track of the story. So let's go back to the pub, speaking of which, and we'll move on to the other things later. Yeah. So, I was looking for a hobby to stay indoors, save money, so I could go travelling. Yeah. So I had like a 2-year plan. So I was looking inwardly and self-reflecting on what can I do to keep me indoors? What can I do to stop me spending money? What hobby or interest do I have? And I've always been interested in magic, and I thought, okay, everyone else has football or guitar, drums, rugby. I'm not into any of that stuff. Yeah. Despite being British, I really despise football and rugby. Any sort of sporting games, I find completely boring.
I'm the same.
Yeah?
The only sport I play is unicycle hockey.
Oh, okay.
Football.
Yeah, it's completely lost on me.
Cricket? No, I'm just no.
They're very slow. I prefer to... I'm a snowboarding, mountain biking sort of guy. Anything fast and downhill.
Yeah, BMX is a skateboard since when I was a kid.
Yeah, I used to be into that, but I didn't really get that far with it.
I think we're off the topic now.
Yeah, we keep... this is how my sort of conversations go. I'm very scatterbrained.
Oh, go for it.
So, okay. So, I was looking for something to keep me indoors to save money. So this was a 2-year plan, and in 2 years I learned so much magic, it was unbelievable. Yeah. I was more interested in stuff like cards and coins, like cool looking effects. I wasn't too interested in the old school stuff like the cups and balls, ring on string. I wasn't really into that. I'm seeing the value of those tricks now, but back then I wasn't. So for 2 years, all day, every day, I would just learn new magic, practice all day, and then take it to the pub. And so this became a regular thing after a while. More and more people started to hear that I was doing magic. Yeah. So the punters would come in and say, "Oh, Matt, I heard you do magic. Can you show us something?" Yeah. And so the regulars come in and say, "Oh, Matt, what's your latest trick at the moment? You got anything new?" And sometimes I'd show them something I showed them last week and be like, "Wow, that's amazing." I think, it's funny how the mind plays tricks on you. You really don't remember this. Maybe I did it in a more confident way, or I changed the patter. But a lot of people would say, "Show me something new." Show them something old. Say, "Wow, that's amazing."
This is great. This is a great start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Career. People coming in to the pub.
Yeah, and I would advise this to anybody. If you're wanting to get into performing of any sort that involves the general public and interaction, work in customer service, if not a pub. Yeah. I think a pub would be a good place because you have sober people, you have drunk people, you have people that started off sober and then get very drunk towards the end of the evening. I can do the same thing on them 3 times in the evening. So when they're when they're sober, half cut and then completely bladdered.
Do the same trick.
Yeah, you can do the same trick twice and you just see different effects. 3 times they see 3 different effects. You can get away with a little bit more. I don't know. It's funny because some things you can get away more with sober people, and other things you can get away with more with drunk people.
Yeah, it's true because sometimes the person who's really trying to watch you is the easiest one to fool because you know exactly what he's looking at.
Yeah,
And sometimes the person who's just kind of hanging around, not really watching, just kind of half seeing, might see something.
And rubbernecking from a conversation to what you're doing might actually see a little bit more because they're not being subdued by your patter in this direction. So that's another interesting one. So anyway, moving on, I then left England with...
you really prepared this, huh?
No, not really.
You've got a plan?
No, not at all. I just wrote down a few points to remember. Moving on to leaving England, I spent 2 years learning, practicing, performing in a pub. Dealt with some really hard punters and hecklers and learned how to deal with them. And I brought it to Hong Kong. And I was actually backpacking, and when I arrived here, I just literally had a rucksack. I didn't turn up here like most people, with a couple of suitcases and whatnot. I turned up with a backpack. Yeah. And I was on a guided tour through China, and then I was meant to finish in Hong Kong, spend about 2 or 3 weeks here, explore my hometown where I grew up, and then go on to Vietnam and Cambodia, Thailand, and spend a year or two working in Australia. So, as I said, my journey got as far as Hong Kong. Yeah. And then I found out I could get an ID card and stay here because I was born here.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
So, that answers that question. But, so I was backpacking. I didn't have a great deal of money being a backpacker, so I was looking to cut things cheap. Mm-hmm. And I was familiar with this thing called couch surfing.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
Okay, so I ended up staying with this guy in Yuen Long. A really, really nice guy. His name's Joe. And Joe said, I know what you would like. How about we go hiking one day? I'll take you up to Sai Kung. Okay. And then there's this Guilo bar that you might like as well. All right. So for those who aren't in the know, Guilo is an expat or a white foreigner.
Sai Kung is pretty much countryside for Hong Kong.
Yeah, where you find a lot of expats hanging around.
Yeah.
So we hiked out to Darling Wan, Big Wave Bay, and it was awesome. It was a really, really hot day. It was middle of June, sweltering heat, and so much humidity I've never experienced in my life. And we went down to the beach, we swam, cooled off, and it was funny because Joe, he's very local, so he feels like he's on some sort of hierarchy level. Yeah. Like, I can't mix with certain people. Why? Because I'm a certain level of person. Uh-huh. Well, that's a label you give yourself, Joe. But anyway, so we're swimming out, and there's quite a few junk boats anchored up. And he says, let's get closer to this boat and, have a look at the pretty ladies. So, as he's swimming off ahead, I see this pink volleyball floating. I thought, that's nice to rest on for a little bit, a nice little break. And I thought, this looks bad. I better hold it up and, see whose it is. And this one boat said, it's over here. So I swim over and kind of blag my way onto this person's yacht. And they're feeding me beer and food. I'm thinking, this is quite awesome. Welcome to Hong Kong. Everyone's really friendly. And Joe's out swimming on his own, shouting out, Matt, where are you, Matt? I'm over here, Joe, on the boat you were talking about. What the hell? So he joins us and we're talking, and they're questioning him about this couch surfing and stuff, and they're kind of thinking, whoa, that's a bit weird. You have strangers stay in your house?
Oh yeah, couch surfing, that's what couch surfing is.
Yeah.
You go on the internet to couch surfing and you find someone who's willing to let you stay on their couch or in their spare room.
Of course, this has completely changed over the last 5-6 years now, and I'm no longer part of it because of what it's become. And all the people I originally met from this site, they've all taken a step back from it because it's gone too commercial. It was a free forum. It was set up a bit like eBay meets Facebook. eBay in the terms that you get a rating.
Okay.
So if you're really bad, then obviously no one's going to let you stay with them or...
Okay, so basically it's become commercial, is it now?
Yeah, and they all want money now, and it's just... and all the wrong people are getting involved and looking at it as like a the new Tinder.
Okay.
Oh, I'll stay at your house and maybe something else can happen.
Okay. So you're on this yacht, this boat.
Yeah. And then we jump off the boats, we swim back, and we can't get a taxi or a bus, so we hike for about another 2 hours back to the road. Actually, I think it was longer than that. It's like 3 hours. So we spent like 6-7 hours hiking that day. In this brutal heat. And then we finally get back to Sai Kung, to cut long story short. Some things happened along the way, but anyway, we got split up. He was talking about this pub where all the expats go.
Yeah.
And we finally get there, and we're having a few drinks. And yeah, I struck up a conversation with these two people. And we got a bit friendly, and I planted the seed about magic.
Mm.
And then these guys said, oh, okay, well, can you show us some magic?
Mm.
Sure. So I started doing some things with their cigarettes, the lighters, and then I actually had some cards on me, as I always did at the time. And started showing them some stuff, and they were really impressed. And this guy turns around to me and says, oh, couch surfing, that's interesting. Tell you what, have you ever couch surfed on a boat yet? A 50-foot luxury yacht?
Ooh.
I said, let me think. No, I haven't. How would you like to spend the night on one? Wow, that sounds fantastic. All right. So I get onto this boat in this yacht club in Sai Kung, and it was huge. It was bigger than most people's apartments in Hong Kong, like by about 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And the room
It's not necessarily that big, actually. Our apartments are really tiny.
Yeah. So my apartment's 500 square foot. This boat was 50 foot long, but the area inside, I don't know the square footage of the interior,
Huge.
but it was like, we had the sun deck. So you had the sun deck, you had the upper floor, which had the living room, the kitchenette, the dining room, which was all open plan.
Yeah.
And then below decks, you had 3 bedrooms and the engine room. And they're all en suite, double beds. It was just crazy. And the carpeted floors.
So you were couch surfing on this rich yacht?
Yeah. Oh, it was more like bed surfing. I wasn't on the couch. The couch was huge as well. Massive L-shaped sofa. And I ended up staying 2 weeks on this yacht. It was lovely. Because I didn't really know what to do. I had 3 weeks to kill in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to explore and then move on. So the next night, the guy said, oh, I've been telling all the guys in town about you. You got to come and meet them again.
All right.
Okay, sure. So I went back and I met like about, I can't remember, like 10 or 15 people.
Yeah.
And it was a mixture of business owners, pilots, retirees, school teachers. I can't remember.
You know what?
Aircraft
I think
engineers.
this parallels David Blaine's early career. I think he started getting gigs on rich guys' yachts. Jack Nicholson's yacht, I think.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong there. There's something ringing a bell.
Okay.
Getting invited to rich people's parties.
Yeah. So I was actually introduced to the guy who owns the yacht.
Yeah.
It wasn't the guy I met. He
Oh.
was looking after it
Right.
and doing some work on it, and he introduced me to the guy who owned it, who was a pilot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so normally this group are very closed and aren't openly welcoming to outside people very quickly.
Yeah.
This guy told me, who invited me on the boat originally, it took him 6 months to kind of break into this crowd.
Yeah.
And I did it in a matter of minutes.
Okay, yes.
So they said, right, okay, magician, please show us stuff. So I was just going around the table showing them stuff, and they said this is the best night they've had in about 2 years. The funniest night they've had in a long time. And so, yeah, I was kind of welcomed into the Sai Kung community.
Fantastic.
Being British, as they were all British, or most of them British, being born in Hong Kong, and being a magician, they just loved the combination.
Yeah.
So then I ended up staying in the country park for 6 months, living with the pilot, and then moving
What a
to North
story.
Point. And yeah, so in the 6 months, I was checking out Central. I was going to bars and networking. I ended up getting spotted by some of the team at Play, and then they offered me to do the Halloween night, and that's where I met you. Yeah.
So Play is a nightclub. big one in Lan Kwai Fong.
Yeah, it's quite a happening place. I haven't been back there since. Well, actually, they offered me a job as a nightclub promoter after that night.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've not said no to a lot of things when I first came here.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to work in a nightclub for Halloween? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a TV producer. Do you want to be on a TV program?
Yeah.
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 Do you want to do this? Yeah. Do you want to do that? Yeah. And a lot of the time, I don't do so well, but at least I tried it.
Yeah.
There was the unknowing, ooh, I've never done this before. Ooh, can I do it? Screw it, just go for it. You're in Hong Kong, you know.
You've been in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I was in the right place at the right time in Singapore in the early 90s, and I was doing the same sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be in this TV program? Do you want to be on this radio show? Do you want to be on this? Yeah, go for it.
But as you know, the Halloween thing was meant to go on for quite a number of nights.
Yeah.
Which you worked, and I only worked the one.
Yeah, how come you only did one of them?
I don't think I was meant for that job.
Oh, okay.
So I found myself limited very quickly. Once all the people were there and the lights were dark and the music was playing and we were marching out, I kind of realised, oh, what do I do for people?
Yeah. Sometimes you go to a venue and you realise it's just totally wrong for what you've got with what your skill set's there.
Yeah, because there's so much. I mean, we had
clowns,
we had dancers,
you've got so much stuff going on. There's massive music. There's hardly any lights. There's lots of darkness and strobes. So how can you do magic in that sort of environment?
Yeah, and there's so much going on.
Packed.
I thought I'm not going to go up to someone or a group of people and say, "Hey, watch me for a second."
No,
they don't want to watch me. There's so much going on behind me. How can I compete with that?
In that situation, sometimes I think all you've got to somehow turn yourself into is like fancy wallpaper. So if someone turns around and looks, they might see you in the distance doing something, maybe with glow tips on your thumbs.
Yeah.
Just something that's magic, but it's just something you can just watch out the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Because you can't do close-up magic from table to table on a dance floor packed in the semi-darkness with loud music. Impossible.
I think they quickly realised, the people that hired me, this isn't going to work. And I thought, crap, I've got a few more sessions of this, right? I really better, buy some more gimmicks that would work.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of lights and smoke and things like that. So I bought quite a few expensive props that went into thousands. And then they said, "Oh, sorry, Matt, we've changed our idea about the magician." I thought, crap, I've just spent thousands on these new props that I don't really want or ever going to use.
I never knew this.
I was just going to use it for, those nights and think, wow, okay, yeah.
By the way, it was quite a tough gig because it didn't pay very much, and they wanted you there about 3 hours early to put makeup on. And then you'd have this amazingly complex Halloween makeup on, and then you have to wait for like 3 hours until the guests finally arrived.
Yeah, and they put the makeup on your face and then say, "Okay, here's some food you can now eat." And they stuck the stashes on, and I had white paint all over my mouth.
You can't eat.
It was ridiculous. And that was my first experience wearing makeup. I've never worn makeup before, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
And me being me, a typical guy, I don't have makeup remover.
This was Halloween makeup, basically. This wasn't just flesh-coloured foundation. This was full on.
It was like proper makeup. They had like a proper makeup artist and like little studio set up out back. And for like 2 or 3 days following that, I had black eyes. I couldn't get rid of the eye makeup.
You hadn't learned.
Oh God, I either wore sunglasses or I didn't go out.
Guys don't learn this until they become entertainers, and they realise, okay, you've got to have Q-tips and some baby oil to get that black stuff off your eyes.
Now I use concealer.
There you go.
To cover up imperfections on my face. So I naturally have big purple rings around my eyes.
Me too.
Naturally. And so I just touch up a little under there to make my face look a bit fresher.
So that was one of your first big gigs in Hong Kong?
No, my first gig was actually with a gentleman called Stuart Palm, who I believe you interviewed already.
Yeah.
He gave me my first gig with JP Morgan.
Oh, cool.
So we met at this Michael Lamar lecture, the guy who was telling about business cards. So we met at this lecture. And being the only other white guy, oh, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So after that, we met up and hang out a little bit. And then he said, "Oh, hey, Matt, I need another guy for this corporate gig I've got.
Yeah.
I'm looking for kind of a fun guy, and you kind of fit the bill." Oh, okay.
Brilliant.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a fun guy. Awesome. And so he brought me on board and kind of showed me the ropes. I wasn't particularly nervous, which was surprising because before a gig I would get very nervous. But I thought, well, okay, you're ready for this, let's go for it. And I think I only dropped the cards like once or twice. But luckily, when I was not performing to people, I was kind of doing the card juggling thing, which some people might see Dynamo do if they're familiar. So I was kind of like walking around looking for new crowd to approach and juggling with the cards. I dropped a few. I think the CEO saw me. I thought, oops. Oh, well, it's my first gig. And then after that, I worked with a lady called Rachel Footer, again for JP Morgan. And this was a few months later for their annual Christmas do. So it's a family event.
This was a few months later. How are you surviving for money for food and what have you?
Well, I still had a lot of savings from backpacking.
Okay, got it. Okay,
and so... And I learned very quickly how to live cheaply.
Yeah.
Plus, I was drinking a lot, but I rarely bought my drinks because I was just earning them through doing magic. Everyone was so impressed, and as the way go with the culture of rounds, I never got a round in. I would try and get a round in, but they say, sit down, backpacker.
This is socialising.
Yeah. In Sai-Kung especially. Yeah. So a lot of people just... I never asked for a round. I didn't even know I was in the round. I just see a pint appear in front of me. I thought, well, that's a new magic trick I've not seen before. Who keeps doing that?
So you got 2 gigs with JP Morgan.
Yeah, and then after that, what happened? I think I got work with Play. Then I was at a bar in Lang Kwai Fong and I met program controller for ATV, which doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
And this guy said...
Television company.
Yeah. So there's 2 main channels in Hong Kong. One's ATV and the other one's TVB. But that's changed a little bit now. There's... I don't really watch TV anymore.
So you met a guy from ATV?
Yeah, and he was the program controller, so one of the top dogs. And he really liked my stuff and said, hey, how about we put you on TV? So, oh, all right, sure. Brilliant. So I was very much a yes man at this stage. I wouldn't turn anything down. I thought, yeah, okay. Hey, do you want to come to my party? It's a rooftop party. Yeah, okay. Do you want to come out my junk boat? Yeah, okay. Do you want to be on TV? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a gig on a yacht? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I never knew what to expect, and I thought, well, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I learned very quickly things I want to do and things I don't want to do now. So TV is one of the things I don't want to do anymore. Working in a nightclub, not so much.
Yeah.
Working with the kids,
maybe.
Well, we'll get on to that stage a little bit more.
But yeah, kids shows, we're going to ask you soon, huh?
Yeah, so from then on, actually it was the other magicians that kept giving me work originally. And then eventually I started getting my own after I set up a website and getting more friendly with different agencies and event companies. But yeah, predominantly I get most of my work from other magicians. They're either unavailable or they need an extra hand and they get me on board. And so I got a gig at Crown Plaza, grand opening.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one. Huge event, so much money pumped into that, and we're dressed up as Charlie Chaplin. And again, I was working with Stuart on that one. Yeah. So I worked with Stuart a number of times actually. Then I did Causeway Bay Royal Yacht Club, Summer Ball. Oh my goodness. Full suit. Yeah. Middle of summer.
Oh no, too hot.
Everyone's in fancy dress. And I remember rolling up my sleeves. The first crowd I went up to, sweat was just dripping off my nose onto the cards.
Yeah.
I thought, this is horrendous. It's so hot. How do people deal with this?
Yeah.
Like, how do they manage? I remember seeing in Hong Kong a lot of people walking around in suits. I'm in shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
And I'm just pouring with sweat.
Yeah.
And I think, how do you get away with wearing a suit and a tie?
Yeah.
Or even a 3-piece suit?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well, I think if you, there are some things with reformer you can do. You can wear tennis wristbands, sweatbands to stop the sweat coming down so much on your hands.
Okay.
And I find that I sweat so much, for me, that actually my ears start to block up. So I try to wear a hat that's tight enough to absorb the sweat dripping down to my ears. Because when you work in a humid country, and you're performing outdoors, the sweat gets everywhere.
It does.
I can't even see sometimes, the sweat's in my eyes.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm that bad because in between groups I can quickly sort myself out.
Yeah.
But yeah, now my top tip is to have a handkerchief in my pocket.
Yeah.
Not for blowing my nose or anything, but just wiping
There you
my
go.
face.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, you really need to. So
you wouldn't think that's such an important thing, but if you're doing close-up magic, you've got to have something to get rid of the sweat.
yeah. So I prefer to wear a suit because it hides the sweat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after I finish with the group, I'll walk off, reset my pockets, put things back where they're meant to be so I know where they are, or reset certain effects, and yeah, just dab off my face, and then move on to the next crowd so I appear a little bit fresh at least.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not some overworked, sweaty magician who's suffering and
Yeah.
yeah, because it looks really bad if you're just caked in sweat and approaching people, especially if you're table hopping.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's not just outside, it's inside as well. I find I get very hot, even in AC.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So yeah, so over the years I've had quite an interesting list of clientele, and I've not had many small companies hire me. It's always big name brands. Most of these is through Zenith actually, at HongKongMagician.com, which is a genius URL for any website and any craft. So HongKongMagician.com, amazing idea. Because if you're looking for a magician, what are you going to...
Magician.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're going to search for. And then bang, that comes on top of the list. And he's marketed himself very well. He's got quite a contemporary look to his site, and he attracts the big names.
Yeah.
So he worked for Hermes 2 years running for Christmas now. Hermes, for those of you who are not in the know, it looks like Hermes.
Yes.
Hermes, but it's Hermes, if you want to pronounce it correctly. So they're like the biggest luxury brand in the world. It's funny because before coming to Hong Kong, I never heard of any of these brands. I heard of Prada and Gucci and
you'll learn all the brands.
Burberry, and that was pretty much it. Now I'm like, who's Louis Vuitton? Who's Hermes? Who are all these big name brands? Never heard of them before. And even Coach and God, what else is there? So
you've been getting lots of corporate gigs from big corporations, big multinationals.
We're getting a lot of the luxury brands as well at the moment. So we did the Langham in TST. That's another luxury brand. Hotel. We've done Hermes. We've done Boucheron, which is a French jewellery brand. So you've got
looking at your career, you've got a lot of stuff just by socialising, through bars, through meeting people, and you've also got a lot of stuff through, in particular, Zenith Cock.
Yeah, and Stuart as well. And this is all from, and I met Zenith at a lecture as well. So just from attending lectures and
really
socialising, networking. I went to a lot of networking events as well, but I was going to the wrong ones. It was professional and social networking events, but I found all the people there were very... I don't want to put them on a pedestal, but they weren't high enough in their jobs. They were like either school teachers, fresh in Hong Kong, or they were very low down in their company, and not the sort of people I don't mind meeting them and networking. I met some great people.
But they won't get you the big...
Yeah, they're not the sort of people I'm looking to meet for potential work. And saying this...
So, do you keep the same clients? Do you keep the same clients year after year as well? Is that possible?
Hermes is my only repeat client, but well, I'd say it's Hong Kong Magician's repeat client. I'm just fortunate enough to be part of that. Actually, I do have some repeat clients who are in Manila, in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
Yeah. How did you get to the Philippines?
So I'm friendly. Again, another name drop, another magician. It's funny. He calls himself more of an events professional, more of a clown juggler.
Okay.
Not so much as a magician, but he did start out as a magician. Robert Rogers.
Who
you've also interviewed as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny seeing a lot of your podcasts, because it's a lot of people that I'm friends with or who I've worked with in the past, such as yourself. And it's all sparred from that. So I work with Rob Rogers every year at the Rugby Sevens as well. But every so often he will invite me to the certified special events society networking events. And this is where I met these two people from Manila. So they were over on an off chance. I think they had some meetings in Macau or Hong Kong with a client, and they decided to sign up for the event, become members, and go to the networking event. And I just finished doing a gig for Nespresso. So yeah, I've done a lot of grand openings, so hotel grand openings, store grand openings, and I just
still Closeup, yeah.
Yeah. So Zenith has actually told me how to customize for clients, how to incorporate their logo, their brand, or their message, or their product into a magic effect.
That's one of my questions. How do you
promote
the brand or the product?
Big thing in Hong Kong. I've never experienced this anywhere. In England, it's very laid back. You can just do what you want. From my experience, but I didn't have many big paid jobs, so to speak, back in England. But here,
so give an example. Say there's a brand or a product that hires you, and they want you to promote their brand or their product. Okay,
so Nespresso is a good example. So they wanted us to promote their items, do some magic effects with their items.
Yeah.
So I took a cup, a coffee capsule, and a stirrer, and I used these as 3 prediction items. And I had a playing card with their logo stuck to the back of it, and it was a blank card, so I wrote a prediction onto it.
Yeah.
And I had it face down. I said, okay, this prediction is here. Now, what I want you to do is to move the cup, the coffee capsule, the stirrer. Either, you pick 2, you move 2 towards me, and then you pull 1 back. And then we look at the layout. Yeah. So the cup might be next to you, the coffee capsule will be in the middle, and the stirrer will be my end of the table.
Yeah.
We turn over the prediction, and it matches exactly.
Oh, great.
So that was a really nice thing.
And you can do that at a lot of different companies.
Exactly, yeah, you can do that with anything. I could be sat down at a pub with nothing in my pockets, and someone says, show me a trick. Okay, I ask the bartender for a pen. I get a napkin, write down a prediction of things that I see on the table. Okay, right, push your phone, push your wallet, and your keys. Okay, great. Read the prediction, and it matches.
So you can turn your magic routines so they promote the products of the company you're working for. That's great. Yeah, that's a good one.
So of course I had all of this set up already. From Nespresso, moving back onto the events networking when I met the people from Manila, and they loved everything that I showed them, because I had quite a few other effects set up as well, and they loved it, and they said, oh, we've actually got a gig with NBA coming up, National Basketball Association from the States. They're having
Harper.
Yeah, so they're having a store brand opening in Manila.
Yeah.
Maybe we could use you. This is really good. And I thought, it's a long shot. I doubt it'll happen. It's a nice thought. But sure enough, a few months later, they got in touch with me again and said, oh, hey, Matt, we'd love to have you on board. Tell us your price and give us your passport details. We'll fly you over.
Woo!
It's like, wow. And this was a big deal, not just for me, but for them as well. They had TV crew there, they had magazines, like all sorts of media, all the big name magazines like FHM, the local newspapers. And to be honest, I'm completely new to the Philippines. But then again, in Asia, I don't know a lot of the media and publications anyway, let alone celebrities. I've met so many celebrities in Hong Kong through my nightclub.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, who are you?
I've done birthday parties for celebrities, and I've had to Google them. Oh yeah, okay, Edison Chen. Okay, that's who. He's performed at Wembley. Good. Okay, well, okay.
One of the regulars in the nightclub, who's friends with the owner, he's been in Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Wow.
And there's so many pop stars that come in. I'm thinking, I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Fame's a funny thing, it's not really worldwide.
No, it's not. And they're like, my name's so-and-so, I'm a Hong Kong celebrity.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool, good for you. It's kind of weird that you had to say that though. I'm a singer. I'm so-and-so, I'm a singer.
I'm famous.
Not like I'm famous or I'm a local celebrity.
You don't know me, but I'm famous.
Yeah. No, you're not. I've never heard of you. But yeah, so and I met Ron Harper again. I'd never heard of him, but I googled him, and yeah, he was quite a big deal. So he was one of the Chicago Bulls people. I'm not sure if he played the same time as Michael Jordan, but.
And did you do close-up magic with him?
Yeah, I did. He was he was blown away by it, actually.
Of course he was blown away. Matt Owen, what a great close-up magician, what a great guy, what a great talk. In fact, such a great talk, I'm going to put out part 2 next week. So stay tuned next week, next Wednesday. Part 2 with Matt Owen. More on close-up magic. Take care, guys. Goodbye.